Hey, good morning, Noblesville. It is Monday, the 23rd of November. Hard to believe that we're already almost the end of November here, although I feel like, Kristen, our emotions are going to tell us we're getting to the end of November. My name is Chris Jensen here on another edition of Mental Health Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm joined by, once again, somebody who I am extra thankful for this year, Kristen Boyce. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor Jensen. I am thankful for you too and this opportunity to be of service. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, who would have thought, Kristen, that a year ago we would be here every 2 weeks chatting about our feelings for thousands of people to tune into? That was not part of my probably my big vision going into office, but I just so genuinely appreciate your willingness to guide us through this conversation. Which is much needed this year. So again, if you're joining us, we appreciate you taking time. If you have any questions throughout this morning's show, make sure you ask them. Anything goes. We're happy to address any concerns or thoughts or feelings that you have. If you just want to say hi, please let us know that you're watching. We appreciate all those who tune in. We have some great regulars, some groupies I run into on the streets, which is exciting, who tell me that they tune in. So I appreciate everyone who takes time to listen. We have a lot to cover this morning. Kristen, it is the week of Thanksgiving. We put a post out this morning. I acknowledge that it's really hard to give thanks in this week where we have a lot of emotions swirling, a lot of opinions going. So we're gonna get into that. But first, I want us to get started in a way that we love to get started with some square breathing. So Kristen, would you like to guide us through that exercise?
I would love to. So this is what we've been doing every single time we meet, is to really use our breath to regulate our nervous system, to calm us down, to center us, and to be able to handle all the emotions that come and go, just like waves. They come and then they go. And so we can process what's happening in real time. So let's put our feet on the floor. And we're going to inhale through our nose for 4. We're going to hold. The hold is really important for the maximum benefit of that. When you exhale, we're going to exhale slowly out the mouth. And what you'll notice is your nervous system will begin to calm down. Your body will start to regulate itself in a different way. So let's do it together. We're going to inhale through our nose for 4. Hold. Exhale slowly out your mouth like you're cooling soup. Let's do one more. Inhale. Hold. Exhale, letting go. I recommend you do this every hour, 5 to 7 breaths. When you feel highly triggered, when the children are getting hyper and crazy, and you feel triggered, this is the first thing I want you to do, is take a deep breath. When you have emotions come up, take a deep breath. This will help you get through those waves.
Yes, and I do this on the regular multiple times a day to keep myself centered. And I feel like even the last several weeks, it's been kind of a heightened sense around our community for a whole host of reasons. And so square breathing has been instrumental for me. So I want to jump right in. We are in the week of Thanksgiving. And normally this would be a week of excitement, a shortened week of school for kids, maybe traveling to grandma and grandpa's house in other states, maybe gathering with our friends and family at our home. All that's different this year, and I know everyone is kind of making their individual plans for how to celebrate on Thursday, do so in different ways. We know it looks different this year. And so there's a lot of emotions on the entire spectrum for it. I can tell you in the Jensen household, we normally travel to Ohio to Julie Jensen's family. That was canceled this year. So my in-laws came in this past weekend. We had a small group, but that cancellation caused some very rough emotions in my wife, who was she's from Ohio. So has not been able to go back home as much. So it was really struggling through that. It was helpful that her parents came this weekend, but still not the same, not to be with her brothers and our nieces and nephews. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I can tell you this morning, I was at the gym. I was stopped by somebody who will remain nameless, but is a Noblesville person, and asked what my suggestion was. She wanted me to tell her not to travel for the holidays because she didn't necessarily want to travel to her husband's family in Michigan. Were some concerns there. So even within spousal relationships, within marriages, there's very different opinions on what we should be doing on Thursday or anytime this week. So, so let's just dive right in, and that's a very broad place to start, Kristen. But how would you go ahead? Maybe we can talk about how we process our own emotions and feelings towards Thursday, and then we can maybe we can translate that into some relationships, and how do we process giving thanks in a time that we're really struggling to do that?
Yeah. So first of all, you just hit so much that is so real for all of us. There is grief, loss, sadness, some anger, some disgust, right? Because we want to do what we normally do. We want to do our traditions. Some of us don't. Some of us have some relief that we don't have to do the whole big family event. And your children are having their emotions. They're having disappointment. They're having their own feelings over the traditions that might not be happening right now. Each of you, like you said, in the couple relationship has their own emotions, and they may be different. Here's the number one piece I'm going to teach, and this is what you already said. We've got to process our emotions. We can't stuff them down, numb them out, push them away, use anger, denial, rationalization, minimization to not deal with what's really going on. We're all having feelings. No one gets out of this. We all are having feelings, and it's okay. It's okay you're having feelings. You're not supposed to be a certain way. Shame will tell you, well, they look like they're doing it okay. Well, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Everybody else seems to be okay with it. That's just shame. Shame wants to say there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. This is okay. This is an unprecedented time right now, and we're all going to have emotions. And when we can acknowledge that, so here's the first thing, in order to get to acknowledgement, is we kind of have to ask, what am I feeling? You've got to get curious. What am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling a lot of sadness. Let the sadness come up. It's like a wave, like I said. It will come back down. If we don't deal with it, it will stay stuck. It will grow. It will get bigger. We will feel it in our nervous system. We will feel it in our body. The second thing I invite you to do is like, where am I feeling that in my body? Where am I feeling that on the inside? Where's the felt sense of that? Because emotions live in the body. The brain and the body are connected. And so it's really important we're processing that, moving through it, and getting to the other side. The other thing that I'm really encouraging people to have right now is lead with empathy and compassion. Let's have a little bit of grace for each other. We're all trying to do the best we can. This is not easy. Let each other express. I feel, we've kind of practiced this in previous conversations, that I feel sad. I feel lonely. We are neurobiologically wired for connection. And so some people are going to be alone this holiday. Let's reach out to them. Let's acknowledge what they might be feeling and what you might be feeling. So that might look like, how are you feeling? And they might say, I feel really sad. And you can say, that makes so much sense. Tell me about that. What do you need? It might be you take a meal over to them. It might be a video call. It might be a FaceTime. It might be a note that you're going to send them. Let's acknowledge that we're all in a lot of grief and fear. We're afraid, if I do this, am I going to get sick? Am I going to give it to somebody that I don't want to give it to? So we're erring on the side of do no harm. So if that is a concern, we go, how will I feel, right, if I do unintentional harm? Nobody really at this point wants to cause intentional harm to somebody, right? I mean, we're all trying to do the best we can. So it's important to let the kids express, like I said, their feelings, their disappointment. Let them have a voice. Let them talk about maybe their grief over and sadness, not seeing grandma and grandpa. Maybe they're going to miss their traditions. So let's start a new conversation. Let's start a new tradition. Let's think of a way to give back. Let's think of a way to come together as a collective to start a different conversation about mental health and what this holiday is mirroring back to us. So everything's a mirror back to us. It's mirroring back the pain that we're in. It's mirroring back the fear that we're living in. It's mirroring back the loneliness that we feel. It's mirroring back the grief. And it comes and goes. Like I said, emotions come and go. It's allowing them to be felt. Here's a couple of things I'm suggesting to people. beyond processing the feelings is, okay, we go, okay, I don't really want to write out, like, it's hard for me to even come up with anything I'm grateful for. Well, I don't care if it's like, I'm grateful for my fingernail. I'm grateful for whatever that looks like. I'm grateful for heat. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful for, it could be whatever. Write it out every single day. And then what you're going to do as a family is put it in a jar. So if you have kids or grandkids, you can even do this via video. You can say, hey, what are you grateful for? And you guys could do this as not just for this week and Thanksgiving. You can make it a practice. You can even do 5 items. If 10 feels overwhelming, start with 5. And then the other thing I'm encouraging people to do is write down 10 people that have made a difference in your life. And if you can't come up with 10, don't be constrained by the number. Just write it down. Those 10 people that have made a difference in your life. And then I encourage you to reach out to 3 of them. We are in an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And this helps us break through and break free to create these connections and say, I see you. You matter. You're important. You are enough. And I thank you for, and then insert what they've done for you. I thank you for loving me during a hard time when I was really hard to love. I thank you for encouraging me as my coach. I thank you for being the teacher that saw me in a sea where I felt lost and unseen. I thank you for giving me the job opportunity that I never thought I'd get. I thank you for being the friend that always listens to me when I'm hurting. I mean, you get the idea. The list can go on and on. Thank you for bringing this dog or cat into my life. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without them. You get the idea. Mm-hmm. Let's start processing our emotions and then acknowledging them and acknowledging other people. This is really what we need to do to get through this pandemic. It is a trauma. We all have previous traumas that are kind of piled up on top of this trauma. And this is what's happening. All that pain, all those emotions are coming to the surface, and there's an invitation for you to finally nurture them, for you to process through that. And let's do that as a collective community.
Yeah. So you said that I gave you a lot early on. You just gave us a ton. And I said, anytime Kristen Boyce uses flashcards,
like, she was preparing.
No, this is good. This is good. I want to back up, if you don't mind, and walk here through this. Because one of the things that I've learned a lot over the past year was about emotions living in the body. And you suggested we think about where we feel those emotions. So can you give some more specific, because I'm afraid I don't want to be sitting there being like, oh, what does she mean? Where does I feel that? Where do I feel those emotions? So can you give us maybe some specific examples, and then maybe how to treat that into that localized fear, if it's tension, if it's, whatever it may be. Can we back up and talk a little bit about that?
I love that you're doing. I love that you're backing up, because I'm sure you're not the only one, because I gave it pretty quickly due to the amount of time we had. So here's what I mean when emotions live in the body. When you kind of are getting ready to do something scary. Okay, you're getting ready to public speak. You're getting ready to put yourself out there and try to make a new friend, whatever that looks like. You kind of feel it in your nervous system. I feel it in my stomach. It's like butterflies. I can feel my breathing change a little bit. Let's say I'm stressed over a difficult conversation. I might start feeling that in my shoulders. I might start feeling really tight in my shoulders, or right here, because I'm afraid. That's what I'm talking about. The emotions live in your body. So when I have back pain, I'm going, what am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling fear. For everybody, it might be different. When you're having an ache or a pain, it's a messenger. It's trying to give you information. It's saying, what are you stuffing down? What are you not processing? What do you need to do to tend to it, to nurture it, to take care of it? But we're not taught that. We're not taught to listen to our nervous system. And many of us have split off from our bodies because it wasn't safe to connect to our nervous systems. So when I say connect to your body, you might have the body sensation first before you have the feeling. And you can go, oh, my head is killing me. What am I feeling? What is going on? It's an invitation to explore, to get curious. There's something that's stuck there that needs processing. Now, you may have an injury, you may have something else going on. I understand that. My invitation is on the mental health side, the psychological side, the emotional side. that the brain and the body are connected through the brain stem all the way back here. And so when we think, well, the brain and the body don't really have anything to do with each other, they have everything to do with each other. And we take so much physical care. We've emphasized physical wellness, like we're all going to the gym, we're all doing our thing. We're not doing that on the emotional, psychological side. And that's what's missing. And that is what is needed right now. Movement's critical also. And I love my word and, no buts, no BUTs, and if we don't tend to that, the body, if we don't get curious about what am I feeling, here's another one that I work with people on is shame. Shame says I'm not good enough. Like I said, shame says there's something wrong with me. Why does everybody else look okay and I'm defective, right? It's about self. Shame lives in the body. I'll get sweaty palms. My face might start feeling hot. I might start sweating. My breath might be more rapid. That's shame. I might want to hide. I might want to be like, don't even look at me. It's because I am feeling about this big and it's in my nervous system. It's in my body. That's why talking about it, processing it, body work, yoga, massages, all of that are wonderful that we can do to tend to that nervous system. That's why hugs and why I'm seeing so much impact from this is devastating. We should have like 7 to 8 hugs a day. And right now we're getting hardly any. And so that makes a difference in how people are feeling. They're meant to neurobiologically have that physical connection with someone, safe physical connection with somebody. So the body keeps the score. There's a great book by Dr. Basil van der Kolk called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's about trauma and how it gets stuck in the nervous system and is begging to be released. So our body will keep screaming at us to tend to it, to nurture that emotional pain. And if we don't listen, it starts to shut us down. And that's why I'm so passionate about people getting this, because I didn't know this when I first started, right? Nobody taught us this in class. And we go, oh, there's an invitation for me. And we get scared of it. And if we don't lean in and take a deep breath and tend to it, it'll keep screaming at you to nurture it, to listen to it.
So let's spend a little bit of time knowing that Thursday's Thanksgiving. There's a lot of events not going on. There's some family gatherings, smaller ones happening. There's a lot of conflict amongst us. Let's go more to the home front and how we communicate. I truly believe a lot of our issues stem in how we communicate with one another. So if you and your spouse or you and your partner or you and whomever are on a different page on how to address Thanksgiving, and I know there's 1,000 pages out there. I'm not here to tell you what page you should turn to, but let's talk about how we address one another, how we talk with one another about what page they're going to be on or what page you want to be on Thursday for Thanksgiving, and how we celebrate that day.
Yes. So we all want to be heard, understood, listened to, and acknowledged. We wanted that as children. We wanted that from our parents. We wanted that from our teachers. We wanted to be understood. And so when we don't feel understood and heard, then we create discord. It creates divide. It creates tension and discord in the family system. So the first thing is you might not agree, right? You might not agree. If you do not communicate what you're feeling, those core emotions, which are sadness, right? We've talked about this, fear, which are the two that I'm encouraging people to really express. That's what I'm seeing. Anger can be a secondary kind of cover-up emotion. Joy, excitement, sexual excitement. If we don't communicate deeper emotions, it gets lost in the content of what someone's saying. So I'm recommending people say, I feel really scared and sad. I'm scared because I obviously don't want to get anybody sick. I'm afraid of getting sick. I'm giving you an example. And I'm sad because there's a part of me that wants to be with the family so bad, and we can't. And I know that it's really important for you to be with your family. And I'm struggling with it because I'm afraid we're going to inadvertently give your family something, and that's going to be devastating. So see how much different when I go to the deeper emotion rather than focus on the content rather than the emotion. And then I'm encouraging the other couple, the other partner, to acknowledge the feeling, even if you don't agree. Oh, that makes sense that you're afraid to get someone sick. Fear. I acknowledge the fear, and you're sad because you really want to be with your family and you're grieving. And some people, like I said, might feel relief. They might be like, I don't want to do the Thanksgiving. I'm over it. And this is an excuse to get us out of the whole deal. Okay, then you say, I feel relief. I feel at peace about this. And we have to acknowledge the other partner might not feel that way. We have to process the emotion in couples and in families. This is what I'm seeing as a huge issue. We don't communicate until the very last second, and now the whole thing blows up. So we have to communicate in real time as quickly as we can. So if you have to write out what you're feeling and then communicate it in a way with an I feel statement, not an I feel like you, I feel sad, I feel scared. Let's come together and learn how to talk to one another. Then we can say that makes sense. We can acknowledge. Then we can get into the possibilities. What I see is people want to lead with the solution. There's no processing of the emotions. And they're like, that's it. This is what we're doing. And you're like, well, okay. Well, what? I didn't get to have a voice. I didn't get to say how I felt. The children didn't get to have a voice. They didn't get to say how they felt. We didn't get to process it. Everybody needs a turn. And how I've got to be responsible for how I'm saying it. I can't change another person. This is what I want to just tell people on a billboard. I cannot change anyone else. I can only work on how I respond to what's happening and what's being said. So I'm going to take a deep breath. That's why the breathing is so important. So I can stay regulated and I can acknowledge where someone else is coming from. Even if I don't agree, then we can get into possibilities. What are the possibilities here? We don't lead with the possibilities or the solution. So it's not so cut and dry here. We have to do some processing, which we didn't learn in our family systems. We didn't learn how to process, talk about our feelings, and then come up with possibilities.
So you reference kids here. Obviously, kids have a lot of emotions around this. And I know when decisions were made not to travel to Ohio for my in-laws at Thanksgiving, my oldest son, who's almost 10, tears, very upset not to go to Nana and Jopa's house. And I respect that. How would it be different to communicate with kids? You covered a lot about addressing the emotions with adults. I imagine a lot of that translates to kids, but any differences we need to be more acknowledging or more aware of with dealing with children's emotions during what is probably supposed to be the happiest time of year for kids? How do we handle those emotions?
Yeah, the very fact that you let them express his feelings, I'm like, bravo, right? And we didn't go, oh, it's not, we got to keep everybody safe. That's on the back end. The front end is letting them get it out. So my girls are very sad because they love being with family during the holidays and we're not doing it. So they're like, well, I miss that we're going to have this dish and that dish and seeing this aunt and my uncle and grandparents. And I just let them keep going. So tell me more about that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I wish we were doing this, this cranberry salad. And oh yeah, I get
Nobody's
that.
doing that though.
Right?
Maybe. I don't know. Sorry.
Right. I'm like all about, no, we can skip that. But anyways, so instead of me interjecting all the ways we're going to make it great, I let him process all the way through it. And then I acknowledge that it's sad. I acknowledge the disappointment. I acknowledge that this whole thing stinks. I acknowledge that, and they're tired of it. They're tired of the school. There's nothing wrong with the school, how it's going. They're just tired of not having it like it was. So this is another layer of grief that is there. And I get it. This is a lot of grief. We have to let them process that grief. And so once they process that, we acknowledge it. Then we can talk about, hey, is there anything new you want to do? Are there any new traditions you want to start? Is there, what dishes do you want me to make? Now we can get into the planning. We can get into the possibilities. We can get into talking about how could this look different? What do you want to do? How do you want this to look? Only after we've processed all of their disappointment, their grief, their sadness, their disgust, their anger, and then we can talk about possibilities. Process first, acknowledgement second, possibilities third. Process, acknowledgement, possibility. Process, acknowledgement, possibility.
Say that 5 times fast. That's good. Okay. That's good. The last thing before we have to wrap up today, I want to talk about, what to watch for, some pitfalls. You kind of alluded to them earlier. We have a lot of ways to process our emotions, acknowledge our emotions. There's also some not great ways, and the holidays can bring out those. I think, eating, and overeating, drinking, it's certainly a time where that substance abuse can be on the rise. What else should we be watching out for in our own house and maybe with family and friends to kind of keep an eye on this time of year to kind of identify, hey, maybe that person might not be coping with this the best way?
Yeah, because a lot of us aren't coping the best, right? And it's important that we are acknowledging that. And then we're saying, hey, I see you. Is there anything you need? So some of the other signs are someone pretty apathetic. They're pretty just kind of emotionally numb. Like there's not a whole lot there. They might be shut down. They may be super angry. A lot of anger, a lot of rage. That's typically unprocessed trauma underneath that. You can't fix it. So again, I'm not inviting anyone to fix it or even have that concept of fixing it. We can acknowledge and explore with curiosity what might be going on for that person without fixing anybody. We cannot fix anybody. So those are some of the things. And then if someone feels, sad, if you're seeing someone feel really sad, that's also something we want to explore with them and let them have a voice and let them process. And then we might suggest if they need additional support, what options might be available. So if they need maybe therapy, they need a support group, maybe plug into a church, small group, something along those lines, a 12-step program. We can't do the work for them. So if they don't want to take that offer, if they don't want to take that feedback, we say, I get it. And then you're going to have to self-soothe because we can't force somebody to do the work. We can just show up, offer empathy, offer compassion, listen, and acknowledge what might be going on emotionally for that person. We can't fix, rescue, or save them.
Well, that transitions perfectly into the last point that we always want to make. If someone's watching today or watching later that is in a dark spot, having a really tough time, needs help immediately, or they know someone who is in that position, what resources, Kristen, do we have in the community that can help them today?
The beautiful part is there's so many resources, so you don't have to do this alone. Please don't. I mean, we want to offer you support in the community. So the first one is Prevail. If there's any domestic violence or emotional abuse, I recommend calling Prevail. It's 24-hour hotline here in Noblesville, 317-776-3472. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Or if you just want to text and you don't want to talk to anybody, that's fine. You can text 741-741. You can also, if there's an overdose situation or you need immediate support in terms of drug use or alcohol abuse, you can call dial 211. So there is support available. Obviously, we have the local community resources in terms of hospitals. So we have St. Vincent Stress Center and Community North here locally. Please do not do this alone. There's resources and help available. You are enough. You're worth it. You matter. Your shame's going to tell you, no, that's not true. And here's what I'm going to tell you. You are worth it and you matter. And I'm thankful for you and you showing up. This says a lot. You're showing up and listening to this. You want to make a difference. You want to heal. You want to feel better. And so you're not alone.
That's awesome. Well, in a week that's focused on Thanksgiving, Kristen, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for this community that has shown grace and empathy and has come together in a horrible time to continue to rally and have honest conversations. And we're going to continue to have those. So please join us back here in 2 weeks for another edition of Mental Health Monday. We'll transition, look at Christmas and all the emotions that come with that. It's another layer. So thanks for all that you do, Kristen. Thanks for being here, everyone. Stay safe, Noblesville, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.
Thanks.